Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
The most theatrical reveal for a Q&A I've ever seen, right?
That's like a game show opening. Are you ready to play, Jim?
Let's reveal Mark and Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark, what a fantastic special.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And
I watched it. I just watched it again, with you guys.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Well, I've known you for a while, and you are a lot, Mark. But I think that creatively, by the way, and I'm not just saying this, I feel like you're getting better at this, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, this is how many years in?
Oh, my God.
500 years?
Well, I guess as a professional since 88.
Wow.
Right? So it's about the same as you, right? Like, I think I first did it, 86, 87, was when it was starting out. Then they had all those cable shows we'd all do. Like, you remember there's Evening at the Improv, Caroline's Comedy Hour, MTV Half Hour, and they would just use guys that had, 10 minutes of material, and we'd do them.
And I'm sure that a lot of people here are fans of yours, and I've known you for so long. And the biggest thing that I picked up in this special, which by the last special was amazing, but this special, there is something very uncharacteristically Marc Maron. There is a happiness. And that's not to say that you're not the lunatic, and there isn't the authentic anger, but there is, maybe it's not happiness, maybe there's a peace.
I think I may be grounded. And I do think, I don't know if I'm happier necessarily, but I am. I think I have a true sense of who I am now, on stage, and I have a confidence in it. So there's no desperation, there's no panic around it, and there's no I think the anger when I was younger was part of it. I really tried to sell anger. I assumed there was a period there, remember during Luna Lounge, where I'd get on stage and just improvise these miserable, bitter stories. And I could not understand why people weren't laughing. And because I really believed, everyone's got to be as fucking miserable as me. They're just afraid to laugh at it, And then years went by and I'm like, I don't think it's funny at all, But I think what's happening is I'm older, I give, less fucks, and I think my craft is in, a pretty amazing place. I feel like I have versatility within, this thing we've been doing our whole lives. And I do think I'm grounded. And maybe I'm definitely at peace with myself as a performer because of, I think when I was younger, I probably would have tried to do that babysitter joke, but it wouldn't have come out right. And arguably, it's a difficult piece of material, but there was always part of me that sort of wanted to defy an audience.
Yeah.
And I think that part of me still exists, but now I can be a little more charming about it.
Yeah, no, there's so much about, you develop these skills of developing material, and it's all self-assignment.
Yeah.
And by the way, let me say the first part, when you're talking about some topical stuff, we live in a very interesting time and age where
That's a diplomatic word.
Yeah. No, where I truly believe there's almost zero appetite for the topic that you discussed, and you did it beautifully, and you did it where I wanted to hear more, like that first 5 or 10 minutes. And I was so amazed because there was a time during the first administration of Trump where I think people would just look at the ceiling I don't want to talk about this. But we are at a point where I think, you are discussing things in a way where it's very cathartic. I mean, I know it's, as a performer, it's cathartic for you, but it's I think the audience, I could feel the audience going, yes, this is exactly what we're kind of experiencing.
that was actually tricky on a craft level, you know, if I can talk that kind of shit, because look, you know, I do politics for a period in most of the specials. You know, I would never call myself a political comic because that just means so. But I feel like it's my social responsibility. I always have, because of whatever my heroes were, whoever they were, you know, whether it, you know, be Hicks or whoever, that, you know, there is a point where it's my social responsibility to talk about it. But in doing it the way I did it this special, it was very deliberate, because in some of the jabs I take at progressives, that it's very easy, especially from our side of it, and I'll assume most of you. So that it is very easy to sound strident, and it is very easy to sound self-righteous, and I'm certainly capable of that, of strutting through that material with an almost aggravated condescension. And heading into doing the special, like I changed it like a week before in starting that material, where, you know, the difference between like, oh, everything's great, and like, I feel everything's great. Like, so there was, I decided to come under it and just kind of put it, like, do it as almost as an aside, you know, like, it's pretty good, you know, because I didn't want it to be tonally off-putting to those other side people until until it happened. You know, like I really wanted people of all kinds to watch the special and like, oh, okay. And then slowly go like, oh, what the fuck? You know, like I made a conscious choice to change the tone of heading into that. And then the balance between, you know, finding a way to laugh at ourselves as progressives or left of center, certainly, you know, it's sort of delicate, because, you know, you push that a little too far and they're going to be mad at you. But I was able to find these things because I relate to them personally that worked. But I also knew that in that first section that I was not going to end up in a place where, like, we're going to fix this. So, because I don't know. But I knew that it had to have a specific tone and balance because I was doing this stuff on the road, man. And it was, you know, after he was voted in, and because of my audience, I was doing red states, and it really started to feel like community service. Like it did. And I feel like it's my responsibility to at least relieve something. Because, you know, you if you perform in certain states and you realize, you know, I got 800 people in the theater who are, a lot of them may be at home, you know, with whoever they live with, or maybe alone, just freaking out with their phone all the time, scared, terrified, despairing. And it did feel like a community event where a bunch of like-minded people could be in this room and laugh at themselves, kind of laugh at what's going on, or at least feel less alone in it. And it felt like it was important.
But all right, so like, I think self-awareness is such an important element of this special and your stand-up. Do you feel any, and maybe you've discussed this and I haven't heard it on the podcast, but like, do you feel any kind of, because you are kind of this outlet for people, not doing the podcast, do you feel a certain kind of like, well, I'm sorry, folks, I'm not doing it anymore? Like, there's a little bit of like, when I heard you were not going to do the podcast anymore, and you do have this voice where even when you, and I, you know, I mean, comedians have this strange affection for all comedians. We're all mentally ill. But like, there's like, when you were like doing the Hitler Theo Von thing, it was like really funny. And the thing is, it's like,
I had to rationalize that.
But like, there is a certain aspect of your podcast that was a consistent vocal element of that.
Yeah.
That I feel like by you stopping the podcast, do you feel like you're removing that voice of self-awareness being inserted?
Well, look, you know, I feel, I know there's a lot of people who listen to me. I get emails, you know, like, but I get good ones too. That kind of built a relationship with me and rely on it, and it does allow me to explore my ideas in my brain and speak freely without it having to be funny. And I am definitely going to miss that. But I'm a little exhausted, and in terms of, because you carry that with you. You carry the responsibility that you design for yourself with your audience, with you, as whatever you have it too. And with the podcast, like they're always in my head, if I decide like, hey, I hope you don't mind, but I'm gonna, live my own life for a while. I know it's gonna fuck up your day a little bit. But I've been telling you how I've been living for 16 years, and I've made some progress, so I want to see how it works in the real world. So, but they live in my head. They're like, don't go, man. We need you right now. And I'm like, yeah, I know you need me, but it's not... It's not like anything I'm going to do on my podcast is all of a sudden going to, change the world necessarily, but it does comfort people, and I feel bad about that. But I do need for my own sanity and to sort of let the podcast go as a body of work as opposed to this disposable thing that you keep doing because you have to. You don't want to diminish, because you do get tired.
Absolutely.
And then people are like, now I'll get emails tomorrow like, dude, just take a break. You don't have to go all the way. I'll be around somehow. But I wanted to address this, the self-awareness thing. But I don't think you were going there. What's happening for me now is like, that section where I say I just want to be entertaining. That's a real thing with me. Like, I know that I do challenging stuff, and I've done it all my life, and I don't always know exactly why, or whether it's coming from a good place, or whether it's literally like, I have this great audience, but let's see if they can handle this. So, and I have that part of me, but like guys like you, like I've spent my whole life sort of envying the ability to just be funny. Like, just be funny, dude. You don't have to hammer anything over the head or make these big points. And when I did that cat thing, I was so thrilled that it kind of came together. Because I'm like, this is just pure comedy. I can just bang, 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 and it's not going to offend anybody. It's not going to make anybody go like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And lately I'm like, could I just do like a whole hour of that? I don't think I can. Because it's actually harder. It's harder. Like, I know when I talk about politics, and this is just on, from comic to comic here, put them aside. Like, I know that I'm gonna lose people. Like, I know with that material, I've kind of, hardened my not my heart, but like, I know that if I'm going to deliver, ideologically based, humor that is divisive to some people, that it's going to be that. So you kind of gird her up and you realize, like, this isn't for everybody, but I think it's necessary. And then, when you don't get the laughs that you think you should, you're sort of like, well, that's because that material's a little hard to handle. Whereas you just be funny all the time, if you don't get laughs, you fucked up.
Yeah. But I think that, I always say that comedians get so much credit or criticism for the only type of comedy they can do. Like, there is not some, like when people are like, oh, it's so great that, why don't you curse? And, I jokingly will say, Jesus told me not to. Some of it is, that is the comedy that works for me.
Yeah.
And so some of it is the most fulfilling form of comedy is what you do, because it's all self-assignment, right? It's not as if someone is like, you have to discuss trauma at a certain point in an act. That is, Mark decided, at this point, I'm going to challenge myself to discuss trauma in a way where I'm not going to alienate the people that are that have processed trauma.
Right.
I'm actually going to inform them about EMDR and all this, and I'm going to make it humorous. It's like, that's what's so rewarding about a comedian, is you have these tragic things that happen. You go, all right, my wife had a brain tumor. I think I'm going to try and make this funny.
Yeah.
And that's the
gift.
It's
hilarious.
Yeah. So it's... Hopefully. But so let's talk about like. Let's talk about the.
But it's important though, because like with the trauma thing, I think that what I'm speaking to is what I learned from Bleak to Dark in relation to grief, is that I realized that there is this zone of human experience that is almost 100% of people have these things. Like you're not going to get out of it without grief, and you're not going to get out of it obviously without dying. And most people, sadly, have trauma. It's certainly my audience. Yeah. So that, and the idea that it can't be discussed in a way. So like if you bring that shit out and you lay it out there, and obviously there was a twist at the end of that, that it was relieving to me when I talked to my dad as well. But there is this idea that if you bring your trauma up and you do process it, that you do have a certain choice in what the impact really was when you separate it from the PTSD, and also you kind of you don't have to be a victim. Like there's something about speaking about trauma if you're willing to find it in yourself, because I think those kind of things, they break your brain into a sort of victim mode, and that then you kind of look at your life, and your choices through this trauma. That if you can lighten that up somehow, and obviously some trauma is horrendous, but I do think that giving it some air, that people who never talk about it can have that weird kind of crying, laughing thing.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this question. So, I mean, I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, so long.
Yeah, so long. So you're 61, 62, what are you?
Easy.
So, but all right, so let's say,
next
let's pick an age.
62.
What is...
In September.
What does 25, 35, 45-year-old Marc Maron think of on a couple things? The success you've achieved, the whether it be the podcast, the acting career, the
You mean the stuff that happened to you at 40?
No. No, but what do you sometimes look back at, like, what does, but you and I also, we connected on this anger thing. Like, people probably don't know, but I was
just
pretty
like
angry.
just a simmering cauldron of rage when he was younger.
Very frustrated. And so, but some of it is...
But like I was always like la 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 la, and I was just sort of like, that guy's gonna bust.
And I was I just was the guy that, like, he's gonna murder someone. And I did, but I wasn't caught. No. But the thing is I mean, some of it is just a compliment of, like, it's so apparent that you've done work on yourself and you've kind of done this, you've worked and made progress, and independent of your art developing, you've developed as a human being. But, like, what would these earlier versions, because I remember when you were doing your podcast, we were in the Bell House, and it was Eugene Merman's festival, and you were Angry Mark, and you're like, this is all bullshit. And I remember, and it was maybe within a year, and your podcast was just had taken off. But, like, would that guy be able to understand the work that you've done on yourself and not independent of your success, or would he be like, yeah, that guy's fake?
Yeah, that guy's bullshit. No, because, like, it's weird, and I think I have talked about this publicly a bit, is that I really don't think that I saw comedy as a career, right? I don't think I got into it because I was looking to have a career in comedy. I have no foresight or capacity for planning, or I really thought that I just wanted to be a comedian. I didn't do it to get rich. I did it because I wanted to have the space to own the space and express who I was. And I really think that my whole journey as a comic was to become a whole person. I don't know why I chose this. You know, I kind of know. My mom used to embarrass me a lot. Like my mom was like an embarrassing person because, you know, she was, you know, very, you know, beautiful and vain, and she had an eating disorder. And, you know, she would complicate, you know, you go to a restaurant with her and she like, you know, would be like, do you make a pizza without the dough? You know, like, it's so like, and it was never ending, you know. It was embarrassing, and I think that, like, I lived through that, and I picked the most potentially, I think I wanted to transcend embarrassment and own myself somehow on this stage. It wasn't because I'm going to be an entertainer. I'm like, this is how I'm going to become me. This is a funny story. I just want to tell it about my mother because I think I'm probably harder on her than I am my father, or I don't show the good side of her, the gift that she gave me. And I think I told this story once on stage, but like when I was probably 11 or 12 years old, my family was on a ski trip with another family, the Leffenfelds. And we were up in Colorado skiing, the two families, and we were all at dinner. I swear to God, it's got to be 11 years old. And somehow the adults start talking, like I think it was Bobby Leffenfeld. She said, so if you were stuck on a mountain and, you know, you had to, you eat your partner, you know, like what part would you eat first? And my mother, I just remember, she goes, I guess the penis, I'm used to that. And there's so much to unpack.
And you were 11?
Look, I'm 11. And I'm like, what is that even, you know? It's just like I couldn't even manage, my head exploded. It was embarrassing, but, you know, compelling. And there's a lot I didn't know about the world, but my point is, to speak to, you know, how I feel now, is that I think this journey, because I don't think there's a lot of difference between me talking to you, me talking on the podcast, and me as a comic, other than, you know, structure and decision making. I think, you know, I improvise, you know, everything until it becomes something. And on the podcast, I'm talking freely, and now I'm talking freely. So I don't. There's just different frequencies of me, but there's no character that ever evolved, which fucking annoys me because I'd see guys, and I think you have a stage persona. Do you think that?
I mean, yeah, in a certain way. Yeah. I don't know if this is an accusation. If this is a subtle, you know, these college kid comedians. They wear khakis.
No, what I'm saying is, like, I always envied. I'm like, how do I be a persona? You know, like, can I just have a character that is kind of me? And I guess it is, but I guess the point is I think what's happened through the arc of the podcast and through, you know, my commitment to comedy as my primary form of expression, that I have, you know, arrived at myself. So there's a comfort there, and, you know, I think that at different ages, to address the question, I think I was who I was at that time. I don't know that I could have seen me like this.
Yeah.
You know, because I watched this documentary about me, and there's footage of me, you know, and this is a documentary that goes all through the grief and through losing Lynn and through, you know, my home life and everything else. And the cringiest part to me in watching it was the footage of me doing stand-up in 1988.
Wow.
Because I was angry, I was cocky, I had all this swagger that I thought was like, yeah, I'm doing it. But it's so pathetic because I was so young, and I just, you know, took on this disposition that wasn't genuine. I could see me in there. So I really think at any given point in time, if you would have asked me these things, I was not planning on this type of success. I had no plan to have any sort of success. I had things I wanted to do that never seemed to manifest, and I didn't know why, because I didn't have any sort of control of my emotions or my talent, and I just think I just grew up. So I think that at any given point in time when you tell me, you know, at these ages, I believe at those points in time I thought I was pretty grown up too.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you talk about this.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because when you talk about like going into stand-up, you didn't think like, oh, this is going to be a career, because there is like, when I started stand up, and I sometimes will articulate this to younger comedians. It's like, there was no YouTube. There was Comedy Central was kind of a thing. There was
just clubs.
And there was just clubs. There was no, and when we were talking about your last special, and like that was a couple years ago, and there was essentially George Carlin, and Bill Cosby was taking a break at that point, and then. And Jerry was huge, but it was just clubs, and it was not this middle class at a minimum existence. And now there is, as big as Nate, but like it's a great living. But like when we were
building a theme park, by the way.
But when we started, it was, I used to describe it as because it was after this 80s comedy boom collapse.
Yeah.
It was essentially going into phonograph repairman.
Yeah.
As an occupation. It didn't make sense. And it wasn't like, oh, I saw that it was gonna, that cable was going to, simultaneously, it ended up being a joke on The Simpsons how bad stand-up was, but it was an outlet. That was my first TV appearance, was on Caroline's, but I had no expectation that, satellite radio would send you a check every, couple months.
When those things first started coming, like when I got an email from Sound Exchange, I'm like, this is a racket. Who the fuck is Sound Exchange?
Yeah.
And I talked to another comic. I'm like, dude, you better sign up because they got money for you there. I'm like, really? And all of a sudden you get these residuals from satellite. I'm like, wow. This is like, I remember living on the Lower East Side and, trying to live in New York in 1989. And I'd have to drive up to New England to do one-nighters to make a living. And you'd get a $400 check and you'd be like, fuck yes. Oh, I'm set. I'm good. And, it was great.
Yeah.
Because, just that kind of scrapping, for a living but being paid for doing this was just, it was so amazing. And like when I first started doing selling out clubs and doing door deals, because I never understood, how the fuck is Jake Johansson surviving? I'm getting $13.50 for 5 shows, and then like now when I do a door deal, I'm like, holy shit, they were fucking doing well. I didn't even understand that part of the business, like how to make money that you earned as a comic. So. But it was different because you could only do,
There was not an expectation. It was you became a writer on.
I didn't even know that.
Letterman.
Like those were the smart guys.
Yeah.
The guys I started with, like there's only fucking 10 of you guys that make a living really at any given time. Like back then, like, there was like hundreds of comics, but there was like 5 that were, comedy stars and were selling out tickets. The rest of us were just sort of like, oh, someday, And but the smart guys that I start with, like Sklar, John Groff, a lot of them. What was Lou Schneider? You remember Lou Schneider? Yeah. Like, these guys were like, they did comedy for like 5 years, and they're like, we're going to be writers. I'm like, is that an option? What are you going to write?
Yeah.
The whole idea of getting into TV writing, which is just a smart call. If young comics talk to me, it's like, what's a career in comedy? Like, well, if you can write a joke, don't do this because this is a fucking long shot. But I never wanted to write, so here I am.
So you shot this. Yeah, it worked out all right.
Worked out all right in the last quarter, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's talk a little. So you shot this at BAM.
Oh, yeah.
And you talked about the wall before I saw it.
I was obsessed with it, man.
Beautiful.
I was obsessed with, like, we were going to do it at Town Hall, no disrespect, but, we were booked, and I'm like, yeah, I did Bleed to Dark there, but it's too wide, and there's too many people. Like, I'm good. Like, my cap for, like, a really good show is about 900, really. I can do 11, 12, and then it starts to, it gets a little far out for me. to think I can be intimate or I can do it, but it's not as satisfying. When I do arenas like this, I don't know why you guys do those. So
I don't do it. I mean, I have.
don't worry about it.
If someone.
But so I said I want a smaller theater, and we go look at BAM, the Harvey. And I walked into that place. I'm like, it was magic. I was like, this is it. I looked at that wall. That's the real wall at BAM that was on the special. And I saw that wall, and I'm like, that's the whole show. That wall looks like a Rothko painting. That wall's got a history. It's got, it's survived. It's like, because I don't know if you've been to the BAM Harvey, but they never restored it. They just kind of maintain it in its state of, decay. And so it's got this ruin-like quality. And I was just enamored with it, and I was like, we've got to do it here. And then my manager's like, it's the most expensive theater in the country. And I'm like, I don't care. Take it out of my pay. It's got to be here. And the guy who's the production designer, this was the interesting thing. And this is something that I learned from, what's that guy's name? Pietro Rodrigo, the cinematographer who did Flowers, the Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah, anyone know his name? Really? Yeah, Rodrigo Prieto. I interviewed that guy. He's a cinematographer. And the amount of work that a cinematographer does to make what they make, like this guy was shooting, the native characters and the white characters in that movie, the Scorsese movie, with different lenses for a different effect. He designed the effect that he used for the camera for the white people on a type of technique that they were using in Europe to colorize black and white pictures. He wanted that look to represent colonialism. And then with the natives, he used natural lighting and all this. And you watch that movie, and you're going to walk out of that, and you're going to be like, "This is okay." And right, and this guy is like, going deep. So like now I'm like, I got to rewatch that movie again. So the reason I'm saying that is because that's the genius. I mean, you have to assume maybe on a poetic or mystical or some other level that you're absorbing that. I doubt it, but it's in there. So the production designer, the first time we're at the theater, it's empty. I'm like, the wall, right? And he's like, yeah, the wall. And we're sitting there, and they don't even have a stage at the Harvey. The audience ends on the floor, and we did build a platform, but we're standing in this empty theater at this kind of decaying vaudeville house, and I'm like, that wall, and he's like, yeah, the wall, and I'm like, what are you thinking, dude? And he says, I'm thinking Kintsugi, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So I Google Kintsugi, and it's this ancient Japanese art of restoring ceramics using, gold filling to make it alive again and make it a new piece. And I'm looking at him, reading the description. I look at him like, yeah, go with it. Yeah, I don't know what your plan is, but do it. And so that effect of those lines that's where it comes from. And he thought he had seen the set, and I think it speaks to where you are and the arc of your career and the restoration and kind of putting yourself back together and whatnot. And I'm like, I fucking love it. And then like even on the wall, in the last two bits, the trauma bit and the grief bit, he fades up those lines onto that old ass wall, and I'm like, this is great, and no one's gonna fucking know. And so now I talk about it constantly because I'm like, you guys, there's some poetry in that shit, man. Sorry.
No. That's, because we were talking about
What
this
were we talking
backstage.
about? Yeah.
Like the thing with a comedy special is you can only ruin it from a production standpoint. But I think that totally enhanced it.
Well, now I'm like, what the fuck are these guys? Between us. I came, that's why I love HBO. When we were younger, that was it, man. Right? The HBO hour. Only Robert Klein did those. Only Robert Klein did 9 of them. And throughout all of them, he couldn't stop his foot, for his entire career. So, inside joke, unless you're a Robert Klein fan, don't want to piss you off, did that once when I was younger, and I had to talk to him about it. So, But the point was, is like, HBO was the thing. And I did a couple Netflix specials, and algorithmically, I'm not their thing anymore. So when Nina at HBO was like, of course we'll do it. I'm like, oh my God, it's an HBO special.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. And I love it. I love it because they know how to treat. It's a curated house, HBO. You're going to be on, you're going to be on the main page for more than 3 days, and then have a hard time finding it or telling where your family can watch it. So, but what I was going to say is like, what's with these fucking guys doing 34-minute specials?
Yeah.
Huh?
No,
Listen to me like the old Jewish, the new version of the old Jew. What is with these kids? They do a special. It's 34 minutes. They shoot at the cellar. What the fuck is that?
No.
That's like a tape you used to get work at other clubs. Anyway.
All right, let me ask you.
We do hours.
We do hours. No, I totally agree with that.
We're old school.
It's all self-assignment.
I did 73 minutes. You know what's weird about that? If I could, yeah, and then we'll do the questions. I don't mean to take up your time, but I had it in my mind.
Yeah.
And this is just me like being impressed with myself, which is rare, so take it. Like the last special I did for them, Bleak to Dark, like they said we want an hour, and I'm like, I need 70 minutes. Like I just needed it. Because I'm kind of tightening up, an hour 45 from the road show, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, they want a tight hour. I'm like, yeah, just give me the other 10. What difference does it make? They can just, start whatever's after it. Yeah. And so she gave me 70 minutes, and on that special, I did 73 minutes on Week to Dark. So now it's in my head. It's like, I need 73, But the weird thing was, I had it in my head that they were again like we want an hour, and then we navigate, we negotiate. Just give me the 73, and it was 73, and this was the only thing that this is the one thing that I'm really oddly proud of, and I don't understand it, but that's the number I had in my head. And both of those sets that I did at Bam Harvey, we did 2 shows. And I wasn't looking at the clock, but they both came in at 73 minutes, like on the fucking dot. And I'm like, I'm a pro.
All right, so that is amazing. I mean, it is interesting because there is also the belief that people with the streaming has caused people they'll watch it in chapters, right?
Yeah, but that's a lie. This idea that we got to make it, people can't pay attention.
Sometimes people put their closers at the top of specials.
No, but it's like this generalization that people are no longer able to pay attention because the person who is saying that is part of the structure that broke their brains is. It's bullshit. My people, my audience can pay attention.
Yeah.
I mean, who are they talking about? You know what I mean? It's like if the people want to watch it, they're going to watch it. Like I've never been in a situation where I've been watching a movie on TV and 12 minutes go by. I'm like, I don't think I can get through this. I can't pay attention anymore.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are they talking about?
All right. So what do you think is going to happen in the next 5 years in stand-up?
Well, sadly, my belief about podcasts and stand-up. Thank you. Oh, it's his? All right. So, I think what's happening because of the fragmentation of media and the kind of, contraction of mainstream media and gatekeepers, which some people are like, good, they're gone. I'm like, is it? So what happens ultimately with social media platforms and the kind of malignant spread of podcasting is that people will adapt to anything, and if that becomes the primary world of entertainment, the people will eventually just adapt to it. So what has quality and what is elevated and what is produced properly will just seem unnecessary. So I think a lot of what's happening in stand-up in terms of crowd work clips and just gunning for the hits so you can get a job where people know you from a 3-minute piece where you talk shit to a couple about their kid, and then you can fill a room and do more of that. I think it lowers the bar for everybody. So I think what'll happen is that, well-produced, well-crafted, thoughtful people that have chops and a real, entertaining, grounded, high quality stuff, well, it just will become more and more unimportant, and it's a sad thing because who wants everything to be shit?
Yeah, but there is also
No.
there is, it's, people, I believe that people value their time even more than their money. And so like those like those people that do the crowd work or make fun of someone's shirt and all that, and they don't have the stuff, they'll go once, but they won't go back and see that person again. I mean, I have a larger theory. Yeah,
but then the next one who does that, they'll go see that.
I think people mature and they're like, all right, so I was tricked into that, but I want to see Marc Maron.
Enjoy a grown-up hour of stand-up comedy.
Well, I think people want an experience. They want to be, it's like you want, like there's the super entertaining movies that you want to do when you're folding laundry, but then there's the movies that you want to make you.
I want to believe you. I really want to believe you, but boy, people are dumb.
All right, so here I've got some audience questions, and I think. What did I do something wrong?
No, you're great. You're great. I just argued with Howie Mandel about this. About like your take, I think is optimistic and hopeful, and his take is sort of like, no, it's just what the kids are doing now. I'm like, you have to be critical. You don't just say like, I'm old and this new thing that stinks it's good because the kids are doing it. I'm like, yeah, but it still stinks. All right, doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I think that there's going to be the flavor of the month,
sure,
all the time, but
every day.
In the end, people are like, all right, we're going to go out to a show once a month.
Yeah.
We gambled on that flavor of the month. Now, this time, we're going to go to something where we know there's going to be consistency. I actually think that a live stand-up show from a good stand-up comedian is way more consistent than the odds of going to a movie theater and watching a movie.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I think all comedians should be, every show should be sold out.
That's because that's because what they're putting in movie theaters is largely fucking dreck too, but it's all right.
All right, this is from Linda from Belmore.
Yeah.
Mark, now that you're ending your podcast, what are some things you're looking to do more of?
I think nothing. No, look, I don't know what the future holds in terms of, I do know that I do talk and I like to talk, so it does open up options for me because, but WTF, in and of itself is the product of the work of me and my producer, Brendan McDonald, and it is what it is, and it will be what it is as a body of work forever. And in terms of like, I just would like to kind of like get out and see who I am and what I want to do. Like I played some more music lately, and obviously I'm not looking to change careers, but I would just like to have some, kind of untethered freedom to see what my creativity really wants to do. And I'm going to have to do some more acting because they picked up Stick, which is exciting. But I will add to that, if they shoot it anywhere but LA, I'm going to be fucking miserable. And I would like to sort of figure out, how to do that better. I'd like to figure out how to do, music better and find joy in that. And, I imagine comedy will keep evolving. So I think I'm going to do what I do, just with a little more, freedom of responsibility.
So when this isn't, I was just realizing. So when the Daily Beast does an article about this special, and the headline is "Marc Maron is a Swiftie,"
I just did a cover of that song at Largo with a band.
Yeah.
Last week. Yeah, and it was really vulnerable and fucked up.
Yeah. No, I think she's great.
Because I was like, I played that. I was like, I'm going to do that song, and it was really sad.
This is a question from Jill. Does the title of the special reflect an embracing of your panic? Because as a longtime fan, I think you seem less panicked than ever, which I would agree.
Yeah, because I think it's an exorcism. Like I am kind of panicked, and that's sort of like the primary sort of focus of my work on me, in that I have this brain. I have I think I was born with FOMO, and I think I came out of the womb and thought what are those guys doing? So, and there's always sort of an urgency to everything, and I've got to kind of reel that in. I am less panicked, but that only comes through a certain level of acceptance of myself and the tragedy of the world and life, and I think through that I can get past it.
Okay, this is a question from Mike. Who the hell do I listen to now? Love Stick.
Yes, people love Stick. It's kind of a nice, sweet show. Well, Dax is doing me, so you can try to make that adjustment.
Okay.
I'll be around. Listen to the old ones. Shit doesn't change.
Oh, this? All right, here. All right, this is way too much writing. There was no name on this. Essentially, they're like,
you coward.
We are excited to see where your career goes and suspect that you want to direct.
Yeah, I think I do, but it's very overwhelming. Yeah, because I've kind of put the what is it? The ball in motion, the wheels in motion, whatever adage. My buddy Sam Lipsyte, one of my dear friends, wrote a book that I optioned, and we've done several drafts of a script which he writes, and then I go I don't know about this. I helped him shape it, but we've got a pretty good script after 5 or 6 drafts, and we've got a production company that wants to do it, and we're starting to sort of make a budget, and the plan is that I will direct that movie, so that's going to happen.
That's great. All right. Kristen asks, on your creative journey, I have to assume there have been times when you don't feel like getting back on stage. What's the process of getting yourself back up there?
Well, no one really wants to go to the gym. So what gets you there? It's to me, it's ingrained in me, from forever. Especially from when we were starting out in New York, where you got to get up there every night, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to try to do 5 shows a night, running around.
And do you feel like it kind of? I feel like it kind of balances me. Like sometimes if I haven't gone up for a couple of nights, my wife will be like, "Get out of here."
Well, right, yeah, but I don't have that, so. My cats are never they're always kind of like, why are you here? So, no, it's a habit because, and it's a good habit. Even before every special or after every special, I'm like, I think that's it. Whatever, I don't got it. I think I'm done.
It's Ralph Malph.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's that?
Well, Ralph Malph. I
Days?
still got it.
Yeah, that moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still got it. But what happens is usually there's a half hour or so that I don't it doesn't make the special. There's a bit about dating a borderline personality that has been on the back burner for several specials, and goddamn, I love that bit. But so ultimately, it's what I do. It's like eating. So I don't like not getting on stage because if you don't stay on stage, and you know this, that what happens is your relationship with the audience starts to, get further away. Yeah. If you don't keep your chops in place in terms of being in front of an audience, you will get a fear, or you will, get rusty, and that's a reality. And it also, like, I like that moment of discovery because I do it, I think, differently than Jim, where most of my writing happens, when I have an idea that's funny enough to get laughs, and then I watch it grow through being on stage. I literally, corner myself. Like I'll get up there, I'll do the idea, and then I'll wait for the rest of it to unfold and be delivered to me. So that process is very compelling and exciting to me. Like there was 2 tags in that special that came like 4 days. It came the gig before the special, like 5 days before. Like I kind of keep it fluid, and the punchline, and like I don't know where they come from, but I'm always happy when they arrive. And I guess when that stops, I'll stop. But the tag to the Charlie playing with Charlie, and like, oh shit, he likes to watch me play with the ball, and that the line, it was a setup all along. That came to me like 3 days before. I had another punchline in there, but I knew it wasn't great. And so like the week before, or whenever it was, when it was all been a setup, I'm like, oh, thank you, that joke's finished now, and also the line that we annoyed the average American into fascism, that happened like the week before the special. So I wait for them to be delivered, and that's a very exciting thing.
Some would say that's the Holy Spirit.
Oh boy, if you could get me over to Jesus, that'd be something. Dylan did it for a while. Why not? I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just do
that would be a great hour.
Right, my gospel hour. That would be wild to do a whole hour, like really not letting on that like it's an act, and just do a Christian hour.
Just do it.
It's
not like you announced it on 92nd Street. Why?
It would take me a lot to
This is
off.
an interesting one. Do you ever worry about saying something that would completely alienate you from your fan base?
Yeah, I fight it all the time.
But some of it is, I imagine there's a balance of, some of it is the shock and awe, right? I mean, you make fun of a character who's like, is that too much for you? But like every comedian has a little bit of, I like that made you uncomfortable, right?
I think a lot of them, I don't think every one of us, but those of us who are, weren't, properly loved and are full of anger, we will kind of make it difficult to love us at times. So, I'm afraid of that all the time. But you get afraid of it, in all parts of life now, because everybody can say whatever they want, but about you. But I do fight with that, and I don't know if it's necessary anymore. Like I used to do a joke about that, like where I'm like, that's sort of what I do. I push the audience away to see if I can pull them back in, and I push them away, see if I can pull them back in. It's a little dynamic I call dad, and but I think it would be good if I let that go, because when I watch this special, both of these last 2 specials have been very active and very conscious. The last 3 homages to the people that had an influence on me. Because I think, and I just saw this recently, that guy, the babysitter character, is definitely Rick Shapiro. Right?
I mean, I don't know.
But no, not that he did that, but do you remember Rick's kind of thing?
But the babysitter,
the character,
the Sarge?
Yeah. You have that kind of angry, kind of like intentional.
No, it's like
Rick Shapiro used to do this bit, dude. Oh, fucking Rick, man. You remember Rick, right?
Yeah.
He used to do this bit where he'd do these characters. He'd do this AA character where he'd go, what was the guy's name? My name is Ray, and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. So I'm banging away on my eldest this morning. And I realized, Ray doesn't feel good about Ray when he's doing that. So I call my sponsor, who keeps me sober, and I say, hey, I'm banging away on my eldest right now, and I don't feel good about myself. And my sponsor said, did you drink today? And I go, no, I did not. He goes, then you're a winner.
Yeah.
Fucking Rick, man.
Yeah.
He's not doing too good.
This is really interesting. Do you think the best therapist could make it as a comedian? Do you think the best
comedian? Ask the therapist.
Do you think the best comedians could make it as therapists?
No and no. You know, well, I think there probably is. Like, I don't know, because, like, you know, comics are pretty, you know, self-contained things. And, you know, they process things, you know, publicly. I don't know how, generally speaking, how great they are at listening. And a therapist, you know, generally the ones that are, you know, in the racket to kind of like get their own shit together, you know, generally think they're kind of funny. But they're not that funny. And I got nothing against therapists. I went back to one recently. But so I would say no and no. It's a thoughtful question. But I used to get mad when people would be like, "Are you just like you're getting your therapy on stage?" I'm like, "No, I'm not."
But it is cathartic, though, right?
Yeah, I know, but this is
There's a
sort
difference
of
between seeking therapy through performance.
well, there are these fucks that like these people, like the sort of tribalized bro manosphere culture of comics. The edgelords who use all the words. They like I've seen criticism of comics. It's like, you're just whining. I'm like, yeah, that's all of comedy. What do you think we're doing? Yeah, we're whining, but we're hiding it in something.
It is that's a really good point. I mean, it's so often it's tragedy plus time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like something bothers you, and then you figure out how to make it funny.
Right.
It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
But
you can't just go on stage and go like, I'm sad.
Okay, on the pod, Sarah Sherman episode, you told
Genius.
us your Albuquerque ice cream anecdote.
Yeah.
What flavor? What was it? If you had a Ben and Jerry's flavor, what would it be called?
I used to do a joke that I was so proud of about Ben and Jerry's. But, what the fuck was it? Like, oh yeah, how much shit can they put in ice cream? It's like fudge chunks, chocolate chip, bacon, cheddar goldfish, and pennies.
Yeah.
Like, I draw the line at currency. I'm not gonna. So, I used to do just funny jokes. I used to do them. I don't know, like the ice cream that I had in the car that was on the verge of melting, I think it's like, because since I'm doing the plant-based thing, they do a pretty good non-dairy. So I think it was non-dairy Cherry Garcia and non-dairy fudge brownie. If I had an ice cream, like I am pretty, I like pretty like simple things. I don't like it to be too confusing, Like, to me, like, really the perfect kind of like satisfying ice cream, if you're like a recovering drug addict who needs something, is that peanut butter cup. That shit, are you fucking crazy, man?
Yeah.
When you're like, it's just peanut butter ice cream with just pieces of peanut butter cup in there, and then when you like pull out like almost a whole peanut butter cup, you're like, oh, fuck yeah.
Right?
It's like the best. I'd have to think about my ice cream, but sadly it would probably be pretty simple. Just like, fucking vanilla with like, just globs of caramel and maybe a peanut butter cup or two. That would be pretty good. Caramel's pretty satisfying too.
Well,
oh, God damn it.
So
What?
I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
You talked to Scott Frank about your love of 70s Westerns. Would you ever want to write and star in a Western like McCabe and Mrs. Miller?
It's hard to pull off a Western right now, in general. But it'd be interesting, like the surprising swagger of the Jew cowboy. I rewatched The Frisco Kid recently with Harrison Ford and Gene Wilder. It's fucking great. But like I actually had this thought recently, like because I do like I do kind of affect a certain ruggedness, you know, I think, and you know, like I had this moment where I'm like, yeah, I kind of like. You know, I used to think like I'm kind of a cowboy, and then like I realized like I don't know, I think I'm more of a rodeo clown. You know, just like trying to distract bulls of my own making. See that joke I think is a solid joke, but to one guy. but that validates it.
It does.
And I'll fucking commit to that joke. Like the anxiety joke. Like I don't think it's finished yet, but the idea that you're not depressed, it's just you peak on anxiety, and then your brain decides, oh, let's just be sad. It's like the resting zone of anxiety before you gear up again for the next one. Like I think that's hilarious.
I think it's funny too.
Doesn't get a laugh. It doesn't stop me from committing to it. I think that's the one liability of doing it the way I do it. It's like, you know, I'm gonna lock into this thing. You know, just oh my God, just keep doing it until it turns funny.
Well, it's working.
Good.
I think we should wrap
That's
it
it?
up, right? But so the special drops tomorrow. You have The Bad Guys 2.
Yeah.
You have a movie also, right?
Well, I got a little part in that Bruce Springsteen movie, Deliver Me From Nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I got that in memoriam, but I don't know where that's going to end up. And the documentary, I think, got a distributor.
Is it a release date?
Yeah, it should be in theaters in October.
Oh,
but
wow.
but the Bruce Springsteen movie was funny because I feel like I'm not like this. I always go into overtime, so you end the show and I'm like, I got some more stories. Okay. It was funny.
Who do you play in the Bruce Springsteen?
Well, this is a funny story because, you know, I just shot that indie where I'm the lead, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't have a big head. I'm not a diva, but like I just spent a month shooting a movie that I was in every scene. And Scott Cooper, who I love, is a great director. You know, he wanted me to be in the Bruce Springsteen movie, but it's a very small speaking part, you know. And I get done with the lead role, and then I come back and I got to go to Jersey in a few weeks to do this little part, and I was like, what the fuck am I even doing this for? It's like there's hardly any lines. I'm on the phone with my manager. It's like they could get any actor to do this. This is like entry level acting job. Like all of a sudden I'm like, I just did a lead, you know. But I took it to another level, you know. Because my manager's like, well, if you want to get out of it, we can get out of it. I'm like, I just don't fucking, it's like, it's not, I can't stand out in that part, you know. And I texted Scott Cooper, the director. Who the fuck does that? I text the director of the movie. I go, hey, man, I'm just looking over that script again. Doesn't seem like there's a lot for me to do here. What? That's one of those things where it's like, don't hit send, you know? The fuck was I thinking? So he texts back. It's like, hey, man, you know, you don't have to do it. I just thought it would be fun. We'll work together at some point. And I immediately go, no. I'll be. He's like, it's a pivotal part. But the funny thing about that part was it's a real guy, Chuck Plock, and he was the engineer that Bruce used for years. And, you know, the engineer's the guy that mixes, and we're trying to, you know, get the sound of Nebraska to match, you know, the cassette tape that eventually became the record. You know, they tried to capture that sound. It was a very difficult thing to transfer a cassette to a bandwidth of audio tape that would make it sound good. And my character actually is the guy that, you know, kind of figures it out. But during it, it's not a huge speaking part. And, you know, Bruce, the real Bruce Springsteen, it turned out it was really fun because we were shooting in the studio and Bruce and John Landau, his manager, were actually at Video Village the whole fucking time. So real Bruce Springsteen is just outside the door when you're shooting this thing. And I had interviewed Bruce, so I kind of was like, hey, buddy, you know. Well, he knew, you know, he knew me, he remembered me, so we could chat. But, like, going into it, you know, I said to Scott, I said, Plotkin's a real guy, but like there's no footage of him, you know, so I don't know how to get into him, you know, as a person. And Scott's like, don't even fucking worry about him. And I'm like, all right. So I learned how to look like I was, you know, doing the lever, yeah, you know, moving the things. This is my whole part. But I did talk sometimes, right? So the first time that I talk, I have an exchange with Jeremy Strong. He goes, cut, and I'm nervous. Bruce is out there. And I walk into Video Village, and Bruce goes, you're him! You're Chuck! Unbelievable! And I'm like, well, that's a pleasant coincidence, boss.
You called him boss.
That's my panel story. I'm just working it out for when I do press on it. And also, I do think that it is unavoidable that story about the locking the ice cream in the car will become a bit. It's unavoidable. So look forward to that. And I think, yeah, the Just Be Funny thing might happen. Just be strictly entertaining.
And the Christian special.
Between us and
Mark
God's
with
ears.
A K.
Huh?
Mark the Apostle. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone.